The following is a Big Sioux Media production.
Welcome everyone, Matt Larson, Lee Palmer with you here on Big Sioux Media as we are going to present a top 10 list of our last 8 years. Big Sioux Media has just finished 8 full years of existence as we head into year number 9, and with this time right now, we decided this would be a great time to put together a top 10 list since we're all jonesing for some sports right now. So Lee and I have sat together and discussed what are our top 10 moments of Big Sioux Media over the last 8 years or so. And Lee, this wasn't an easy task by any means.
No, not at all. When we thought about it, we said, oh, this should be pretty simple. And as we started going through the archives, here we came up with 40 to narrow down to. We got that down to about 25, 27. And then I thought, oh, it'll be easier from there. And it really wasn't. So we did get the top 10 finally done. We have some honorable mentions in there. But there's been some really, really big moments. And people are going to look back at these and go, oh, my gosh, I totally forgot about it, because we forgot about it. So, you know, I brought up some, you brought up some, and covering both schools, you know, we didn't get to see everything. There's a couple joint moments in there, but, you know, and it's more than just sports. I mean, we could have put this year's coronavirus. We could have put the floods. We could have put some elections that went in. But, you know, our big bread and butter is what we do for the two schools. And so that's where we kind of put our focus for that. And I hope everybody enjoys this list, because I kind of enjoyed putting it together, but it was kind of a task.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it was a lot of fun to go back and reminisce about all the good things that we've seen. And you mentioned there are some that we forgot about, and there might even be some that we're not even thinking about. So certainly if people want to comment and let us know, hey, how about this one? I forgot that one. We'll welcome them. But this is what we came up with, and as you mentioned, not an easy task. There's quite a few things that we didn't even put in our honorable mention list that you would think that we could. I mean, we had 1,000-point scores, we had state championship baseball teams, we've had some big football playoff runs, comeback stories, and those are just a few of the things that didn't even make the list this year.
No, and we tried, you know, we can't cover everything. We can't put everything on there. You know, like you said, there's a baseball state title in there that we didn't get, four maybe more 1,000-point scores that I can think of. We've had some really great interviews over the past 8 years that didn't even make it in. So, yeah, comeback stories, kids coming back from injuries. You know, I think of, you know, kids that were really hurt and came back, and just game comebacks. Just so many things that we could have on there. Big moments in town. It's just amazing what's happened in the past 8 years in Del Rapids, and for us to narrow it down to 10. And these 10 are really, I think, really spectacular things as well.
And with that, I think let's get started. I think our plan is we're going to go through about 5 or 6 of our top 10 list. We'll highlight our honorable mentions, and then we'll wrap things up with our final 4. So with that, our number 10, we picked out to be the Sodak 16 volleyball match with the Del Rapids Couriers and Madison Bulldogs back on November 7th of 2017. That one unfortunately didn't result in a win, but what an epic match that was, as the Couriers were 1 point away from making the State A tournament, knocking off the number 14 Bulldogs in that Sodak 16 on a, we'll say it, we're homers, a controversial officiated call that kind of swung momentum in the way of Madison, who ended up taking the match. But that's number 10 on our list.
Yeah, it was. I remember watching it. You had that call, and I remember watching it and thinking, they're going to do this. They're going to do this. They're going to do this. And they were at match point, and that controversial call, and there was a couple before that as well, but that one came down, and Madison came back to win that third set, and then came and won the fourth set, and then you just see the momentum change for Madison. It was a great accomplishment for the girls, no matter what. They played their hearts out, but to know that you're 1 point away from the state title, and to watch that go down, and we're going to watch the clip right here and see how this all played out for those girls.
Schwabach to serve. Quick set, Canopy left hand, Giles digs it out, tip over. Fletcher, now Klein. Gordon, out of bounds. But a net violation on the block. That is a big turn of events. That gives this one match point for Del Rapids, and the Warriors would love to end this right here and not give any reason for Madison to have momentum. Price to serve. Schwabach back set. Giles has to tip it over. Klein. Fletcher to Gordon. Tip over. Schwabach's there. This one's sent over by Giles. Klein. Quick set. Canopy off the net. Stays alive. Tip over. Fletcher pulls it down. Russ is going to tap it across. Here's a pass to Schwabach. Giles. Dug out by Klein. Net violation on the block. 24-24. Now serving is Jesse Giles, tied at 24. Russ to Fletcher. Gordon sends it over, stays in bounds. Schwabach to Jenny Giles, blocked at the net, and this one's going to go to Madison as they now take a 25-24 advantage. Jump serve again. Russ pass up to Fletcher as Canopy sends it across. Nice save by Fletcher. Gordon taps it across in two. Pass to Schwabach. They go right back to Giles. Off the top of the net. No touch. So they're going to give it to Madison out of bounds on a block. But boy, oh boy, I don't know if there was a touch. There was a lot of indecision. And that one is going to go to Madison.
Well, that will now lead us into our number 9 moment, and that is the St. Mary boys basketball team as they defeated the Arlington Cardinals at this year's Dakota Valley Conference Championship game earlier in January. I know, Lee, you were at that ball game, so I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, January 25th, St. Mary's wins their first DVC title in a very long time and beat Arlington in a very long time. And, you know, it was a game where Arlington had a 6-point lead at the end of the first quarter. St. Mary's whittled it way down to 1 point going into the half. And then, you know, we talked about on the volleyball being a little bit on the homer. I'm going to be a big-time homer here because, you know, Sam came out that game, and that third quarter, he had 15 points in that third quarter, a block, a couple steals, a couple key rebounds, and really put the Cardinals on their back for about 2.5 minutes and increased that lead, and then they never looked back from there. And, you know, it was a big win for the program. It was their first DVC championship, a first somewhat championship type thing. And it was a huge moment for them. And as you're going to see in the video, there's a lot of emotion. There's the benches involved. And after they get into it and Arlington calls a timeout, you see the kids bouncing and jumping and fist pumping. And, you know, some people may argue, you know, why we picked it here. But, you know, when you're looking at a championship, it's really important. And it was a huge championship for the Cardinals, and it was a huge launching point for their program.
And so with that, here is our number 9 moment, St. Mary over Arlington.
Ramstead, Stegeman, and Larson. Palmer, top of the key, 3. Shot up and in, good. St. Mary's takes the lead by 2. Down the floor, pushes it, gets it to Garrett's. Garrett's with it, over to Palmer. Shoots another 3, banks it in for 12. We're wrong here. It's 31-24 St. Mary's. Wrong Cardinal. Type in. Floater. Blocked by Palmer. Run out to Libas. Connor in the lane. Spins. Kick out. Palmer. Step back 3. Good! 34-24. St. Mary's. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.
Our number 8 moment is a Del Rapids Courier girls over the Flandreau Flyers at the Entringer Classic, and one particular moment is a charge taken by then 8th grader Emma Paul at the end of that ball game, which was held in December 22nd, way back in 2014. And Lee, with this one, I think we were both at that ball game. Maybe one of the first ones that we did jointly together in the basketball season. And Emma just stood there at the block to take a charge with 1 second left to keep the Couriers with a 1-point advantage to win 41-40, like she had done it 100 times as a senior.
Yeah, that was our first joint Couriers game. I came on early or later that year, or the previous year, excuse me, and did a couple Cardinal games with you, and got the bug, and we went to the Entringer together, and we're watching that game, and we're kind of slowly watching them go back and forth, and Emma comes on the floor as an 8th grader, and she takes that charge, and if I remember right in the call, I think both of us were just shocked that, here she is taking that charge. And not only to take that charge, right, I just said she was an 8th grader at the time, and we know what Emma's career was like after that. But for her to step in and take that charge as an 8th grader, it was no big deal. She had, like you said, done it 1,000 times before that. And just the reaction from the crowd, I remember Dvorak was coaching at that time, his reaction, and just everyone's reaction to this charge. And that's when you knew there was going to be something special with Emma Paul.
Yeah, but that capped off a 9-2 run to seal that victory, 41-40, to keep them undefeated at that time. And they did that, you talk about that charge, but there's some other moments. They were down 6 points with 1:45 to go in that ball game. Quite a few big plays, but that one sealing the victory. So here it is, number 8, Emma Paul with the charge.
Stoffren's free throw is up. It's no good. Offensive rebound by Paul to Stoffren. Kick out. Pankonen to Hoffman for 3. Good! And the Couriers lead 40-39 here in the fourth quarter. Second one. Good. It's a 2-point lead. Seconds to go in this ball game.
That's not an all bad foul either. You're putting them to the line. She's got to make both of them to tie it.
Makes the first one.
And you're going to get the ball back, so now the last shot is in the hands of the Couriers. And if you don't make it, then you go to overtime. So it doesn't give them a chance to shoot a 3.
Free throw in and out, no good. Rebound tipped around, won by Simmonsma. Nearly taken away, Hoffman with it. Timeout called by Coach Dvorak. Ball is tipped and taken away by Behrens. Ahead to Ayotte. Ayotte. Offensive foul.
So that brings us now to our number 7 moment, a Del Rapids Courier football highlight as they took on West Central in the semifinals of the 11A playoffs back on November 8th of 2014. And Lee, this one, it was a untimed down and a stop at the goal line for Del Rapids in what would get them into the Dome and Vermilion.
Yeah, it was one of those, there was a penalty on the Couriers, and it ended up putting them, on an untimed down, and a pitch to one of the Skinner boys, and he started to go, and the next thing we know is Riley Schmidt's at the goal line waiting for him and just stops him just short, which was a huge stop because it led him to the Dome, which led him to a battle against Madison and eventually a state championship. But, at that time, Dells was starting to make their mark at the state championship level. West Central had been making their mark at the West Central level. And Madison was starting their run of going to state titles as well. So, you had 3 DAC 12 powerhouses at the time. And then here you've got Riley Schmidt coming up and making a huge stop at the end of the game for them to go to the Dome. And then, if you remember right, they go to the Dome, and it's the Riley Schmidt show as he became the player of the game for the Dome championship. We talk about all these great moments that we had in great interviews, and Riley was one of the first interviews we had. Didn't put him on there for it, here in the top 10, but that moment of Riley stopping him at the goal line was huge for the Couriers.
So here it is, our number 7 moment, the stop at the goal line for the Courier football team.
This is it. He's got 5 seconds to run this play.
Dropping back to pass. Throws over the middle of the field, and it is too far. Incomplete. Penalty flag.
Oh, it's half the distance to the goal line, so they didn't even get the full 15 yards.
Okay, half the distance since we're inside the 30, so it's about the 13. 13 yards from being a point away. One play. Hanisch underneath center. They're going to give it to Hanisch on the pitch, and then back over to
Skinner.
Skinner's got it. Stopped at the goal line.
He's not in.
Del Rapids wins 21-14 as Skinner stopped about 2 yards short.
Number 6 on our list is Jason Cook for the St. Mary Cardinals as he knocked down 2 of 3 free throws with no time on the clock in a triple overtime game against Lake Preston. That back on January 15th of 2018.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about comebacks and feel-good stories. Jason had come back from battling cancer in his leg, hadn't seen a lot of playing time, gets fouled towards the end of the game, has to step up to the line with no time left. Like you said, it was back and forth that night with Lake Preston, multiple overtimes, and he steps up, misses the first free throw, and talk about pressure, and we're going to talk about that later on, about making free throws and pressure, but Jason comes up, misses the first one, and then hits the next 2 to give St. Mary's the win. You know, you couldn't feel, Jason's a great kid, you know, we've watched him grow up in town. You couldn't have thought of a better moment for a high school senior that, you know, where basketball became second. You know, he battled to keep his leg and battled for his life, having to fight cancer, and being able to just come back and get a moment, you know, his senior year playing basketball.
So here it is, Jason Cook with his free throws in triple overtime, number 6 on our top 10.
14 on the game clock. Playing for the last shot. Bauman on Libis. Libis gets it to Kangas. 4 seconds. Kangas drives. Cook, shot, up. He's fouled! Jason Cook is fouled, and he'll go to the line. Time has expired. And Bauman fouls him. Byron Bauman fouls Jason Cook on the 3-point attempt. Jason Cook will go to the line to shoot 3. Misses the first. 2 more left. Makes it. He still has 1 more to shoot, but this game will end with a St. Mary's win. And that one's good. Jason Cook, 2 of 3 to give St. Mary's the win in triple overtime over Lake Preston.
We now are making our way to the halfway point as we hit number 5. And this one goes to Josh Brown on a big football game that he had against Dubrook back on October 9th of 2015, as he recorded quite a ball game against the Dolphins in that one. 26 carries, 319 yards, and 7 touchdowns in the ball game.
That's a 12-yard carry. I mean, that stat alone is impressive, but to have 7 touchdowns on top of it, I know you had that game that night, and, you know, it's one of those moments that Josh had a great career, set all sorts of records at St. Mary's, but that night just stands out above any other in his career.
Yeah, big 78-42 win for St. Mary in that one. Again, with Brown, 7 touchdowns in that ball game. So here they are, 7 touchdowns of Josh Brown, our number 5 moment.
Josh Brown for the touchdown. Touchdown, Cardinals. Josh Josh Brown for the touchdown. Josh Brown on the carry. Touchdown, Cardinals. Josh Brown for the touchdown. Josh Brown for the touchdown. Touchdown. Josh Brown for the touchdown. Josh Brown for the touchdown.
Coming in at number 4 is a last-second three-point shot by Connor Kangas for the St. Mary Cardinals. Yeah, that tied the game against Chester early in the season last year on December 17th of 2018, and a game in which the Cardinals eventually won in overtime. But what a shot there for Connor.
Yeah, and it was, Chester did everything they could to keep the ball out of Connor Libis's hands. Kangas dribbles to the right side and throws it up at the buzzer, and it goes in. St. Mary's was trailing by 11 at half, trailing by 11 at the end of the third quarter, and you can say it was defense, you can say it was missed shots by Chester, but Chester didn't make a field goal in the fourth quarter. They didn't make a field goal in overtime, and they struggled from the free throw line. They were only 7 of 17 in the fourth quarter and overtime from the free throw line. And really, hats off to Connor Kangas to get that shot off, to get that shot to fall, and then for St. Mary's to win that game in overtime. They were 3-0 going into that game and kept them undefeated early on in that season last year, which eventually they ended up losing to Clark Willow Lake in the Sweet 16. But when you think about that shot going in, and as you're going to watch it and see that going in, that's our number 4 moment. Just wait till you see what we have coming for you here, 3 through 1.
So here we are, number 4, the last second three-point shot by Connor Kangas.
St. Mary's out of timeouts. Wage's next free throw, no good. Libis with the rebound. Comes down to this. Libis to Garrett. To Kangas. Kangas for 3. Hits it. We're going to overtime.
Well, as we're about ready to count down our top 3 moments of the last 8 years, we mentioned that we have some honorable mentions we want to quickly talk about that didn't quite make the top 10, and we haven't really put these in a ranked order, but these are in order of, chronological order, starting with the most recent one. Here, the first one we'll mention is Brianna Griffin for the St. Mary Cardinals girls basketball team earlier this year on senior night. Knocks down a free throw with no time expired, and that was a big moment for the young 7th grader.
Yeah, we talk about Emma Paul as an 8th grader stepping in to take that charge. Here's a 7th grader stepping up with the game on the line, being able to help out the one senior exiting who had hurt herself within the first 10 seconds of the season. What a big moment for Brianna.
Another honorable mention is Quarrier football, as they hosted T area earlier this year, and it was a 2-point conversion at the end of that ball game as the number 1 and number 2 teams did battle here in Del Rapids. And with 1:30 to go, Quarriers get a touchdown to pull within a point, and with no hesitation, they go for the 2 and pick up a 22-21 win to remain undefeated on the regular season.
Yeah, what a big win at home, big win on senior night, and what a gutsy call for them to go for 2 and end up winning that game over number 1 T.
The next moment we have is an honorable mention, not necessarily a sports moment, but one that we got to give a shout out. We were able to sit down and do an interview with Mike Hendrickson, who folks may or may not know actually started the whole concept of Big Sioux Media. It was Del Rapids area news when he started it, and for both of us, I can say that he's been a big influence for both of us, and what a thrill to sit down with him for an evening and talk.
And I went back and I looked at that interview last night. It's about an hour long. And if you want a good laugh, and anybody that knows Mike, he's going to give you one. Go back and watch it. It's in our archives. You can see it on our YouTube channel. And I was even laughing again watching it because, just listening to Mike is pure entertainment. And like you said, we got to thank Mike. He's a big shout out. He's been a mentor to both of us, and we really appreciate what he's done for us.
Our next honorable mention, this is one of those moments that kind of put us on the map, so to speak, and this just goes to show you what we've got coming up with our final 3 top 10 moments, that this one didn't even make the top 10, and that was our viral moment back in 2014 with Keegan Hemingway with the extra point kick off the helmet of a Millbank player that goes through the uprights in a big win that season.
And that was our biggest moment. You go back and you look at YouTube clicks and things like that. I remember when we hit the 500,000 mark on that, we were all excited about it. ESPN picked it up, and it was a huge moment. It solidified us on the map, and we still chuckle about that now. And like you said, for that to be an honorable mention, it really, really shows what we have coming up here.
And the final one that we want to mention in our honorable mentions is a Region 3A finish with the Courier boys basketball team against Madison. These two teams did battle numerous times throughout the years in the region tournament, and this one back on March 11th of 2014 at the Elman Center. We were at that one. Looked like the Couriers had come back, hit a game-winning shot, a last-second three-point shot attempt by Madison is no good. I thought we'd won it because we grabbed the rebound, and lo and behold, a foul is called, and the Bulldogs, that player, knocks down 3 free throws with seconds remaining to give Madison the win.
Yeah, and I even said that. They called the foul. I was in shock that they even called that foul. We've gone back numerous times and looked at it. We weren't on the floor, but from the angle we had, it was a very touch-and-go call. And, we even had a chance at the end there. Cody went to go throw up that three-point shot and just back-rimmed it. So, yeah, it was a big moment for us, a big playoff moment, which started a long playoff run for us, which might be brought up here later on.
It may. So that gives us into our top 3 of our top 10 list. And coming in at number 3, of course, we got to mention this one. St. Mary, Del Rapids boys basketball, Entringer Classic, final day of 2019.
What? First of all, we have the snowstorm, so the Entringer Classic's pushed back. It was an anticipation game. Lots was said about that game in town. A ton of people didn't want the game. A lot of people wanted the game. The kids wanted the game. A huge crowd on New Year's Eve to wrap up the Entringer Classic. St. Mary's came out, and it was a fight for both teams. Connor Libas had a spectacular first half, an amazing first half. The Couriers came back and got the lead, and St. Mary's had a chance at a last-second shot. Sam put one up, back-rimmed it. Couriers came away with the win. That game could have went either way. It was an amazing game, a well-played game. And the best part about that game was to watch the kids afterwards. As disappointed as St. Mary's was, the Courier boys were great on picking up St. Mary's. And it was amazing afterwards. We got to stick around and see a lot of handshakes, a lot of hugs. And, it was a game those guys wanted. They've played against each other when they were younger, and it was a chance for them to do it. Hats off to the Couriers. It was a big win for them. And for St. Mary's, it was a big moment, and who knows? We may see a rematch next year at the Entringer Classic.
As you mentioned, watching the kids over the years, I think as they've grown, you've certainly seen the respect between the kids grow over the years as they're now into the high school. And I think, like you mentioned, an amazing atmosphere, an amazing game. So let's show some highlights on number 3, St. Mary versus Couriers in boys basketball.
Inbounds blocked. Couriers look to run. Ellingson out front, up and in for 2 to start this game. Over to Welbig. He drives down the lane. Cole, shot up, no good. Garretts comes away with it, gives it to Herber. Herber up, in, and a foul. Libis, NBA 3. Connor Libis, no shot in the gym that he can't take. Welbig comes away. Hands off. 3-point shot. Good! 3-on-3 here. Libis pulls it back out. Connor between the legs at the free throw line. Fakes. Shot up. Good for 2. 4-point lead. 1:30 left here in this first half. This is everything we expected it to be. Van Rigemorter. Dennis on him. Van Rigemorter goes around him. No good. Offensive rebound. Putback. Basket's good. Into the corner. Kangas with it. Kangas looks. Dribble. Kick out. Libis for 3. Connor hits another one. Ball rattles around. Van Rigemorter. The Warriors with a chance. Great steal by Kangas. 1-on-2. Kangas drives. Shot up. In for 2. What a great defensive play by Connor Kangas.
Offensive rebounds here for St. Mary.
That one tipped away. Good job by Rentz. He puts it up. In for 2. Van Rigemorter with it. St. Mary's 2-3 zone. Van Rigemorter lowers his shoulder, goes up, bangs it in. Handle again. Rentz behind the back, shot up, good. Warriors take their first lead since early in the second quarter. Kangas over to Libis. Libis drives, pull up, off balance, in for 2. Rentz to Van Rigemorter. Kick out, Ellingson for 3. Logan hits. Inbounds. Cardinals. Winberg comes away with it. Short block, shot up, reverse layup, good for 2. Over to Winberg. Back to Palmer, catch, shoot, 3-pointer. We're tied up. That puts Palmer in double digits with 10. Ellingson looks to drive, kick to the corner, Rentz for 3. That one's good by Connor Rentz. He's got 9. Herber at the elbow, Garretts, kick out, catch, shot, rattles in and out, tip back out, Libis with it, he takes a 3. Libis hits, we're tied again. Mary's led by 7 at half. Van Rigemorter stutters, gets it out to Rentz. He hits a 3. Rentz, Van Rigemorter gets it to Rentz. He goes baseline. He's up and in. 3-point game. Kangas drives, looks, goes around Garretts. Kick out, Palmer. 5 on the shot clock. Takes the 3. Rims it. Tip out, and the Warriors hold on for a 3-point win. Unbelievable.
Number 2, the Del Rapids Courier boys basketball team, a double overtime game against T back in 2017. This one had multiple buzzer beaters by both teams. He had Noah Friedel his senior year for T with some big shots, and the Courier version of the Duke baseball pass made its way into this ball game.
Yeah, you think about, they go to overtime. Elijah Wilbur makes the shot. Then you get into the first overtime, and you've got what the Couriers think is a win. Baseball pass by Elijah again, tipped by Heim to Shook. And you're thinking, wow, we've got this. And then Noah Friedel with the shot, to tie it back up and back and forth and back and forth. It's a loss, but it's another one of those moments that put us on the map. It was our first Dan Patrick moment, and even got a little commentary on that from Dan Patrick.
Yeah, admittedly, I got a little excited with the baseball pass, and that was certainly pretty cool to see that one on the Dan Patrick Show. So with that, here it is, number 2, the Del Rapids Couriers in a double overtime multiple buzzer beater.
Friedel hesitates, drives, hangs, shot, no good. Offensive rebound, putback is good for Joffer, his only bucket of the ball game. Shot clock off. We've got 17 seconds to go. Rentz will bring it up. He crosses half court with 10 seconds. Crossover dribble, top of the key, into the corner. Story for three. Good! Elijah Story from the corner! Hone can run the baseline. He's going to be guarded by Heim. Here's the inbound. Comes to Friedel. He brings it along the sideline. Steps around the defense. Three-point shot at the buzzer is good! Seconds to go. Out of the timeout. Hone will inbound in front of the Courier fans. Finds Morales. Trying to get it to Friedel. Friedel goes up. Shot is going to be good! And he's going to hit it at the buzzer. And hold on. Everybody needs to get back here. We're going to have a timeout, I believe, was called after the made bucket. We're going to have a discussion here and see what we're going to put on the clock. 1.3 seconds on the clock, so this one not over yet, but another big shot by Noah Friedel. Story will inbound underneath the T basket. Rentz and Schmidt are at half court. Here comes a baseball pass to Heim. Tip it to Shook at the buzzer. It's good! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Tie ball game. We go to double overtime.
Well, here we are at our number one top play, and we go back to the Courier boys basketball team. This one goes back to March 4th, 2016 at the Elman Center again. This one, 10 points in the final minute 15, erasing a 7-point deficit to beat Madison and move on to the region championship game. And this one, it comes down to a deep three by Ty Hoagland.
And the 40-foot three for Ty to give them the lead is one thing, but what part of that is the key moment? Is it the first two free throws are made, quarters come down, Schmidt in the corner hits a three. Then Ty steals the inbounds pass, puts it in for two. Now the lead's been cut to two. Timeout called, and they inbound, and they trap in the corner. Mason comes up with the steal, finds White. White puts it in. Madison comes down. You get a block in there, and then you get Ty coming down with a 40-foot three-pointer. I don't know which moment in there is most impressive, or the fact that it's 10 points in a minute 15, where it really put, we've watched Ty since he was little, and I actually got to talk to Ty here recently about that, and he said, I don't think I can even imagine a moment like that in my life. And you think of how much basketball Ty has played and how important that game was. It was a chance to go to state. They had to go play Sioux Falls Christian later on. It was an impressive moment. It was against Madison. Everything just built on it. And, when Ty came down and launched that three at 40 feet, and then he stands there, and he knew it was in. The minute he let it go, he knew it was in.
Yeah, that was, I've seen some big comebacks on TV with the highlights with your college and pro sports, but to witness a 10-point run in about a minute 15 like that was amazing.
And it wasn't like Madison slowed things down and tried to set things up and stuff like that, but, we talk about that block, that partial block by White and, Peter's defense in the corner. It was a total team effort. Ty's going to get the credit for hitting the 40-footer, but it was really a team effort, offensively and defensively, for them to come back and pull that win off.
And so here it is, our number 1 on our top 10, the 10-point run for the Courier boys against Madison.
Back at the Elman Center, BigSiouxMedia.com, a 5-point lead for the Bulldogs. They have the ball onto the timeout. Layton will inbound. Into the corner. And a foul on Hansen by Peter.
That's Peter's 4th. And Hoagland will check back in. As Hansen, who's 4 of 4 from the free throw line, will step up here with this 5-point lead, shooting 2.
Free throw good. Hoagland back in. Two of 2. The lead is 7. Here comes Hoagland. Into the corner. Schmidt for 3. Good. The lead is 4. Pass stolen. Hoagland. Layup. Good. It's down to 2. And a timeout called by the Bulldogs. 5 points in 3 seconds. And the Couriers within 2. We're going to take a break. Back with more BigSiouxMedia.com after this. In 3 seconds, a 3-point bucket by Schmidt, a steal and layup by Hoagland. And just like that, the Couriers only down 2 with 59 seconds to go.
Bulldogs have the baseline here.
Layton to inbound. Guarded by Peter along the baseline. Into Berg. And it's nearly taken away, and it is! Inside, White, tie game! Vandenbosch across half court. Layton pulls it back.
That absolutely is not what the Bulldogs wanted out of that timeout.
Layton
There's
at
a
half.
15-second differential on the shot clock.
Layton picked up by Peter at half court. Timeout. Coach Ricky. Wow, wow, wow. Val Larson, Lee Palmer. Tie ball game when just 30 seconds ago, Del Rapids was down 7.
Schmidt hit the big 3. The steal by Hoagland for 2. Madison calls a timeout. Ricky sets up a play. Peter tips it away. Finds White all alone underneath for 2. It's a tie ball game. 14 seconds differential on the shot clock. Both teams are in the double bonus.
Layton brings it across half court for Madison. Top of the key. Backs off. Drives in again. Short, rebounded by Del Rapids.
Block. White comes up with the rebound. Will play for the last shot.
Hoagland, with 8 seconds to go, has it in his hands. Everybody on their feet. Deep 3. Good! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! We are back out of the timeout. Vandenbosch is at the baseline. 3 seconds to go. Here is the game. Berg, top of the key at the buzzer. No good! Del Rapids wins and moves on to the championship game Tuesday night against Sioux Falls Christian.
So there it is, our top 10 of the last 8 years. Some great moments over the last 8 years. And first of all, we got to thank everybody who's helped support us, who's watched us, who's been a part of this. It's been a great 8 years, and certainly looking to many more great moments like this in the future.
Yeah, it's been an amazing. I've been part of it now for 6, and you know, you look at these past 8 years, it's been great. We'd be really hard not to thank some of the people that have really helped us out. We want to thank Jim, before I came on, and he helped you start this and get this going. We've already thanked Mike, but another shout out to Mike. Huge help for us. We've been able to call him up. He's actually done a couple games with us, So a big shout out to Mike. And then some of these high school kids that have stepped up, we can only cover so much, and with families, we can only be at so many things, and I want to thank, Connor Libis and Sam and Hunter Griffin and Zach and Brady this year. I've heard nothing but great feedbacks. Macy Brown has been great this year to help out. So, I want to thank those kids that have helped out as well. I want to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do this without the sponsors that we have. It's just, we're not out to make $1 million, but every little bit helps, and we're grateful for each and every one of those for us to be able to bring these games to everybody. And I want to thank you, partner. It's when we should probably thank your wife, because it was kind of her brainchild. When we sat there that morning watching basketball, and she said, "Well, maybe you should." And I thought, "You're nuts," and got the bug, and things have been great. We've had some great moments, as people have seen, and I just want to thank you for bringing me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to thank you for joining and be a part of this, because, like you mentioned, without yourself, a major part of this and doing a lot of the ball games is, and as we're trying to groom some of the high school kids to take off some of the burden with us. But without you being able to do these games, we'd be having to pick and choose between, what Cardinal game do we want to cover, what Courier game do we want to cover this week, but having you be a part of this so that we could cover almost all of the games for both schools it's just been amazing.
Yeah, and it's been fun. Like I said, we've had some great moments. Not everybody gets to see the behind the camera stuff, and there's been some good laughs. There's been some frustrations, but that's going to happen. Technology keeps getting better. We keep getting better, and we're young pups at it still, and we got some time to grow. And like you said, we're grooming some kids to help us out. We're hoping to expand here in year number 9, and we just keep going from here.
Yeah, so again, thank you to everybody, our help, our sponsors, all the fans. Certainly wouldn't be where we are without everybody that is a part of this. And again, we look forward to another great 8 years. Let's see what we've got coming up here in the next 8 years here on Big Sioux Media. All right, thanks for watching, everyone.